Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. You guys know who I am. I'm Dr. Angela Butchester, and you know what I like to do on my show. Say it with me. I want to enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Now, scripture reminds us that the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on a fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to get you fired up about my guest. I'll be spending time today with Dr. Nina Kelly, and we'll be talking about her book, Grace Has a Silent Voice. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea, because we are about to get started. Hello, Dr. Nina. Thank you so much for joining me here on Daily Spark TV.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am really excited to talk to you about your book, and I cannot wait to share its pages with our viewers today. Now, before we get started, we do have a bit of a tradition, and we realize that in Southern form and fashion, we always introduce ourselves to those that are in the room. So, with that being said, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? What makes you you?
I'm a mythologist and with an emphasis in depth psychology, which is more Jungian. And I'm an author. Obviously, I'm an author, a film producer, executive film producer of some documentaries, and I'm a storyteller and a humanitarian, and I am an arts and cultural activist. So that's a little bit.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
thank you.
Now, and I think it's so important, especially for people to see that women have that voice as well, that they are speaking up and speaking out when it comes to these particular categories. So I love that you are doing that. Now, when it comes to being an author, is that something that you always wanted to do, or did you find that this was a particular modality in which you could share your information, your research with more of the world?
Well, I love this. I love the question because you just nailed it at the bottom back in. I think there comes a time in your life you do different things, and I was always a letter writer, always a writer. So I think I just transitioned at this juncture in my life, as that's my way of being able to reach out to people, to share. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I find that there are the way in which people answer this question, the majority of the folks that I have interviewed have all said, no, I didn't think I was going to be an author. But
Right.
those who said, this comes quite naturally for me, I find that it really and truly does, myself included, that even as a child, you had a journal or there was
Right.
some type of written expression for
Mm.
what you have experienced through life. And I find that to be so curious and how we all have this inclination to share our stories and our research. I love it. Now, with your book, I find the title to be one that is quite intriguing. If it was in my local bookstore, and I'm looking and trying to find, all right, book, which one of you speaks to me next? I love the title. Grace Has a Silent Voice. I would definitely pick this book up. How did you come about the title? Did it come to you first? Did it develop out of your writings?
No, the title came last, actually. Um, the process was I had come through a period in my life that I just felt compelled I had to write. And what happened was I thought, oh, I want to. How many people have walked into, I've had the privilege of experiencing where they come into my life and they've made such a profound difference. And I saw the resilience of the human spirit in times of tragedy. And then also just the incredible compassion of humanity. And actually, the title came when I was taking a shower. I thought, what's the name of this? What's the name? And here it comes. It's like, that's how it came. I mean,
I love that. And oh, yes, I have received numerous God downloads, when you are just washing your hair or you're just
Right.
having that moment. And it's like, God speaks to me when there's water around. So,
Exactly.
okay, to the beach. If I ever need to really, really
Oh, I
come up
love
with
that.
something that's like, what a
Yeah.
wonderful way that God has of just giving us that information and we having that knowing and understanding. Thank
Yeah.
you. There's the
Oh,
answer to the question.
yeah.
I love that. I
Oh,
love
thank
that.
you. Oh, thank you so much. I love your
Mm-hmm.
enthusiasm.
Now, of course, and I share that with people quite randomly if they, of course, have a similar story, and many times it's, oh, good. I'm glad that I'm not the only one. That there are other people
Right,
in the world having this experience, and it's like, of
right.
course, it's nice to know.
Yeah.
Now, with your book, would you say that it is appropriate for our young adults or our teens, for high schoolers, as young as, let's say, 15, 16 years old? Or do they need more life experience to be able to follow along?
Wow, that's a profound question. Obviously I'm an elder, so my rearing days were different. So many of the young people are exposed to so much these days. But this book is written in letter form, and I really think high school, maybe not younger than high school for
Yeah.
sure, but I would say high school uh, would be receptive to it because they're life lessons, and they really show the people at the rawness, or the people when they're the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And let's face it, we've all been there, or we're going to be there if you haven't been there
Hmm.
yet.
Hmm.
You know, uh,
Yes. Hopefully, we all live long enough to to
right.
experience a something.
Right.
Not
Thank
that
you
we
very much,
wish
Doc.
heartbreak upon anyone, but that
Right.
that
Yeah.
is a shared path of
Right.
of being a human being. That you are going to have some downs for every up that you have.
Yeah.
So yes, yes, I remember watching an interview where it was for a very young country singer, and their comment was, "You're doing a great job, but you haven't experienced enough heartbreak yet. After you've had your first heartbreak, you're going to be an amazing artist and songwriter." And
Same.
that
Right.
really made sense. Like
Right.
you said, that
Yeah.
life experience
Oh, yeah.
definitely, definitely helps.
Yeah. 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 I have this running joke. I'm going, look, there are a lot of things that have happened in life. I'm not sure I'd sign up for them, but
Right.
they happen anyway. But it brings you to who you are. It really
Absolutely.
does.
It really does. It
Yeah.
builds your sense of character.
Yeah.
And for so many people, I've found that your experience doesn't have to be the exact same, right? Because they're not going to be cookie cutter. But if
Right.
there's something similar enough, or if
Hmm.
you've experienced something that has made you feel a certain type of pain, then you can empathize with someone, or you can be sympathetic. But many times it's about the empathy that you have and being able to hold that person's hand or be able to just sit in the stillness with them and
Sure.
understand what they're going through. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the, I'd like to call it the proper way to read someone's book. I feel that authors present the information in the way in which it should be consumed. Section one before two, chapter one before chapter two. But many times a book is written so that it is reader's choice. It doesn't matter where you start, it depends on where you are as an individual. Is
Mhm.
there a proper way to read your book, or is it reader's choice?
It is reader's choice. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you why, because each chapter is a different story. So it's
Mhm.
not a novel. These are letters written to the listener, and each one totally different story. So yes, you could go in the middle of the book, the end of the book, and just choose your path, so to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really like when you are given that option as a reader. To me, it allows you to circle back around to that book years later and
Mm.
find which chapter at this new moment of now piques your interest, because we are different people at different stages of our lives. So I like that you're able to have that freedom of selecting what speaks to you at that time.
I have to tell you, you're a very old soul. For such a young person, great wisdom. I mean, you just gave me a flashback because I thought, I remember when I was, let's say, 16 and I
Yeah.
read this book. And then I turned around at 36, I read it and went, oh my goodness, I have a different lens, totally different lens. Yeah, that's very, very profound on your part. Good for
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
that.
you. Yeah,
I have had the privilege of having uh, very wise people
yeah,
in my people groups.
yeah,
So, not just my immediate family, but family
yeah,
members' circles as well. And as a child, I just absorbed everything. Again, being given, thank you, but I can't take credit for it all. I had really amazing people
like
around me
vintage.
who gave me great pieces of advice,
Yeah,
and I kind of tucked everything away. And as I grew in my life's walk and in the journey that I have had to the privilege of experiencing, I've had my own ups and downs, and many times that nugget of wisdom I was able to kind of pull back and say, ah, I remember when I was told this. So this too shall pass. We shall get through this. Everything
yeah,
will be okay. But we have to sometimes go through it. We can't go around it or over it or under it, but going through it. So this is why books like this really pique my interest, because I feel that we should pass on that wisdom
mhm,
that we have. Someone needs to be able to learn from that and grow. So thank
yeah,
you for that.
yeah.
Now, with many of the authors that I've spent time with, there is they talk about a nudge or a push, or that person who says you should share this. Did you have any did you have an experience like that as well?
Absolutely. Like, why aren't you writing this down? Shame on you for not sharing. And then I went, oh, okay. It's so funny. I'm very kindred to, yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. And even after the book was written, I've had people come back and say to me, my that wasn't my exact story, but oh my goodness, you helped me to heal from this particular incident. We're so weaved together,
Yeah.
and we're constantly reminded of that. Um, we just don't realize how much our lives are intertwined. Or we forget, I shouldn't say that we just sometimes we're so busy being quote busy.
Yes.
But yes, I've definitely have had people go, you need to write, you need to get this, and you need to give more of the story. You need to blah, 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 whatever it is.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no, that's really true. Yeah.
And I have to say that those people that are in our lives, I love their point of view, right? They give us that alternate perspective of what our intention could truly be. We always see our particular perspective from where we're standing, but
Yeah.
they are able to add just a little bit more of a peripheral sometimes and say, someone really needs to hear this, or like you
Mhm.
said, drill
Yeah.
down a little bit more with
Yeah.
that. People
Yeah.
want to know that, and I'm just so thankful for that personality type that's in my life as well.
Yeah.
They are such a great help to us when it comes to our creative work.
Yeah.
Many times I love that. Now, one of the things that I have found is that some of the books that I am drawn to naturally seem to also be really great books for book club. Have you
Mm.
found that your book is one that is great for discussion, not just for the individual reader, but if someone wanted to utilize your book for a book club, do you think that this would be a good fit as well?
Wow, thank you so much. That's a great question. And to be honest, yes, I think so because each chapter stands on its own. So just think, you could take one story And then, like I said, even though it may not be your story, but I
Mhm,
guarantee you somewhere along the line you're going to relate to it, you
mhm,
know, and you're going to go, okay, how do you think I would react in a situation like this? Do you think
yeah,
I'd have that much compassion, or would I be so it's great
mhm,
debate questions in there.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
I found that after dealing with the pandemic, that for many people, their perspective shifted just a little.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are so much past that time that things are starting to kind of settle back into the original point of view. But for many, that new perspective, that new normal has really taken on a new life for them. And for so many people, they are trying to step outside of just what's in it for me, but they are trying to make that connection with others and be
Yeah.
there for their sisters or their
Right.
sisters in spirit, right? That they're
Right.
really trying to make
Yeah.
community. So I love that this book would be a great fit.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Nina, it is time for us to take a very short break. But before we do, now we know that your book, of course, is available on Amazon and wherever you would purchase books. But if someone wants to reach out to you, what is the best way to do that?
Well, the best way would be my website, ninamkelly.com. And that has all my information. It has my email, which is nina@ninamkelly.com, and of course, Instagram and Facebook, etc. And then I think that's the best way. Easiest.
Alrighty, I love it. Alrighty, everyone. Now you know where you can get a copy of the book and how to stay in contact with Dr. Nina. We'll be back right
Thank
after
you.
this.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark TV. Now, Dr. Nina, I am having a great time talking to you about your book. Now, my viewers know that there comes a point in the show where I give the disclaimer. So here we go. If you want to know how the story ends, you've got to buy the book. Now, with that being said, I do want to ask about when you were in the process of writing the book. I'm pretty sure there were a chapter or two that really spoke to your heart. Was there any particular chapter that perhaps you enjoyed writing more than another, or one that you said, I absolutely must include this information?
That's a tough question because each chapter is so different. Some One chapter brought me sadness, but yet peace. I can say that at the end. Another, but there is one in particular chapter, and it is the last chapter of my book, and it's about a man by the name of Mr. Scott. And Mr. Scott, I just love this man. We met, I was walking to work and he was sitting on the sidewalk and we met. And his story is just so inspirational. And I remembered at the end, I asked permission if I could tell his story. And I said, Mr. Scott, you could help so many people because he had a radiance about him. I'm telling you, I'll use this term to this day, he is I just think he's an angel, you
Yeah.
know. He had such a radiance. I'm not going to tell you more, but
Right.
but I just love this man. I mean,
Mhm.
so here two strangers meet. The next thing you know, they help each other. And actually, he's just such an incredible hero in my book. So yes, I
Mhm.
think he was the last story and the happiest story, So
Yes,
that
I
has
love
always
that.
stayed with me. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you have shared
Mm,
your similar story. I
right.
think it opens up and it allows people to down their guard sometimes. We don't have to be so cold and callous.
Oh
It's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
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 You know, every
Yeah.
stranger is not stranger danger. Not every stranger is danger.
Right. Oh, I love that. Not every story. And I have to tell you on a sidebar, when we talked about water, this is why I
Yeah.
think this is a blessing. It has started to rain. And when you're telling your story, I thought, see, that's heaven going, yay. Yes. I love it. I
To me,
love
it
signs
is
and
those
symbols,
little things. It is
It's the
just the
little thing.
it is just the
Yeah.
little things that God gives us, in my humble
Oh,
opinion, that
oh,
really
absolutely.
just it's not
Yeah.
missed on me. And it
Yeah.
might not mean the same thing for every person, and I don't expect it to. But for
Oh,
me, it is just those little things. And I love that. And it's like, wow, okay,
yeah.
that's a smile for just a little bit longer to get through the day. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
yeah.
that.
Well, it's always, I think we all beat to our own little drums,
Yeah,
and but that's what makes great music. I mean, really does make great music, you know.
absolutely.
And so when
Absolutely.
you were telling the story, and it's kind of, I went, it's pouring. That is a beautiful story. I mean, because see, but I like symbols and signs.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And
right.
for someone who is in your field, I think that it resonates a particular way.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
speaking of picking up those signs and symbols, I
Mhm.
am a firm believer that every author leaves us those breadcrumbs, that they leave us those nuggets of wisdom, and they hope that we pick them up along the way. But I do
Mhm.
know that some people need some assistance, right? They they see it, but they're not sure if they should touch it. So let me ask you, is there a particular piece of wisdom, a particular nugget of wisdom that you want to make sure that every reader picks up having read the book?
Um, it's interesting you asked that question because as time on earth for me goes on, what I'm learning is so imperative is to listen. And that's listen to yourself, listen to that small voice. It's such a great guiding post. And I I would say if I had to use one word, it would be become a great listener to yourself, to others, whatever, you know, because you'd be amazed what comes from that. Like the shower, taking a shower.
Right.
Grace has a silent voice. I'm like, thank you. you know, see, because I paid attention and
Absolutely.
I
Oh
listened.
wow. Oh, that is such a nugget. And I find that for many people, that is what's missing. They don't have someone to listen to their
Mhm,
stories, to
mhm.
who wants to hear what they have to say. Let's even back up a little bit.
Right,
No one wants to hear what they have to say, though they have great and amazing things to say. No one is
right.
listening to what they are sharing. And I think that for some folks that makes them want to dim their light. And for
Mhm.
me, it is we
Yeah.
don't have to ever dim our lights. There is someone who wants to hear your story. There is
Mhm,
someone who needs to hear your
mhm.
story. So let's talk about it. let's
Yeah.
let's have a conversation. And even if it sometimes the information isn't for you, it's for someone that you're going to come across, right? I have a great circle of sister friends,
Mhm.
and we're constantly sharing information with each other. And I go,
Yeah.
"Ooh, that's good. I don't know I don't know who that's for, or when I'm supposed to use it, but I'm going to tuck
That in
that
my
away. Ooh,
pocket.
that's good." And it is
Yeah.
so helpful,
Yes.
because like you
Yeah.
said, it is the listening. If we don't listen to one another, then we're
Mhm.
not going to be able to grow into our best selves.
Yeah.
I hope someone heard what you said there, and that they were
Yeah.
listening. That is
Yeah.
really the big difference.
Yeah.
Oh, I
You
love it.
Thank you. I wonder, and I would love you really hit on something about dimming the light. I had part of my experience in my life, I've spent many, many years working with death and dying patients and was at the bedside of many people that died. And it's interesting when because you hit a chord with me. If if you were there and you listened, their light, I saw more light at the time of death than, but when those who didn't have someone, you
Mhm.
they favor. So that's a
Wow.
statement. Write that one down. You hit a chord.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, that's
mm-hmm.
really good. So
That
thank
that
you.
is so interesting.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
and I'm sure that piece of conversation is probably gonna spark a whole other, conversation. Many times with
right.
we learn a lot as well when we are
Yeah,
talking to hospice nurses or with I hope I'm not calling them the incorrect thing. I want to say end of life doulas. The same way that we have midwives that help us usher in new life, those who help us with the dimming of the light or the extinguishing of the candle when it comes
right.
to our end of life. The
Yeah.
stories that they share as well, like you said,
Mm,
there's something in those
essential.
moments,
Mm,
and it it doesn't need to be dismissed. With our busyness of the day, we tend to not be there for
right.
those moments,
Or we're
or
thinking
we
ahead.
are in the middle of just being so consumed with our own grief that
Yeah,
we miss the don't leave us, don't go, but
yeah.
we're missing that beautiful light. So many people have said what you've mentioned. There's
Mm,
something in that, and we should be there for that.
mm.
Thank you for that.
Welcome. Yeah.
As people in my family are starting to become older, and how I wish that I could just hold on to them forever. The part of life is
Mm,
understanding that one day they will be a part of that heavenly group of ancestors. So
mm.
absolutely, we should get their stories now while we're able to. I love it.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
well, Dr. Nina, thank you so much for coming on and spending time with me here today. I think everyone has figured out that I have enjoyed my conversation with you and
Thank
about
you.
your book. Now, we know that not only this book, but the others that you have written as well are all available on Amazon and wherever books are sold. But if someone wants to reach out to you, stay in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
I would say the best way, two ways, I'm going to answer it is my website, ninamkelly.com. And then if you think about the email, it's just Nina, Nina, at ninamkelly.com. It's very simple. So that's the best way to reach out to me.
I
Thank you.
love it. I
For so
love
much
it.
for having me. I
Absolutely.
love your spirit. I love your spirit.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Um,
I enjoy what I do,
I
and I get
did
to
that.
meet great and amazing people around the world. So thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for that.
Yeah,
And
thank
viewers, thank you for spending time with us here today as well. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to spend it with me today, and I thank you for doing so. As always, I hope that the Lord continues to shine his face upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember that you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye bye.
Welcome to Daily Spark TV. Are you an author with a faith-based book? Be a guest. Serious about your product or service and want to try something new? Sponsor an episode. I see you're ready to get started. So visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.